So I wanted to take a few minutes today to explain to you the struggles that I've had. For me, my struggle is twofold. One, my weight, which I didn't think that I had struggled with my weight my entire life, but apparently, now that I sit down and I've really kind of gone step by step by step, I really have struggled with weight my entire life. Sometimes more than others, and sometimes not at all, and sometimes it's taking me to the depths of my despair. And you're not alone. I'm not alone. I know that there are other people out there really, really struggling with their weight. So for me, let's go back to what I know of myself. I was adopted at 10 months old, and I was, from the pictures, an extremely butterball baby. Like I had rolls on top of rolls on top of rolls. So I had this period of time till I was about 4 years old where I was a little chunky, especially through the face. Which, when you're 4, you don't care. You don't care what you look like. But as I've gone through this journey and I've had to take a step back and take a look at, my whole weight process, I was chunky as a baby and as a toddler. And about kindergarten is when I started thinning out. And when I say thinning out, I was growing taller and not getting fatter. And all the way through probably my 20s, I was tall and thin. In high school, my dad used to call me Bones because I was just skin and bones. I think I weighed all of 90 pounds, and I was 5'9". And I was 16 years old, and nothing Mother Nature-wise was happening. And so I remember my mom taking me to the doctor, and the doctor's like, she doesn't weigh enough. Does she eat? And my mom's like, she eats. And I remember eating all the time. I could eat anything I wanted. Junk food galore and cake upon cake. And it didn't matter. I ate everything in sight. I was your typical teenager. Well, I was your typical teenager boy, not your typical teenager girl. And so I remember for a period of time, my junior, senior year, of having to eat a baked potato every single night and drink a milkshake. And that was on top of everything else that I ate during the day, because that was what my doctor told my mom to feed me so that I would gain weight in hopes that it would kickstart Mother Nature. And I just remember not gaining any weight. I was eating that and I still wasn't gaining any weight. I know, tough problem to have, trust me, God put me later. But that was a really hard time for me then, and I didn't even really kind of think about it then, or how it was affecting me. But it was affecting me. It was really affecting me because I wasn't understanding there was something wrong with me. I was eating and eating and eating and eating, and I wasn't gaining the weight that the doctors were telling me I needed to gain. Now, was this an eating problem? No, because I wasn't sticking my finger down my throat and throwing up or anything. It's just I had a really high metabolism and I was burning way more calories than I could physically intake. I was a very active teenager. I was in color guard. I was in softball. I ran on the ambulance service as a first responder, so I was gone constantly. I was on the go constantly. And so I just remember that being a very odd time in my life. So then I got married, still stick thin, and within 2 years, we had our first child, and I just remember looking at pictures of me with my newborn son, who was like 5 days old, and going, oh my God, I'm wearing the same dresses that I wore before I got pregnant with him. And you can even tell I had a baby other than the fact that my boobs were huge because they were full of milk. So still then, I'm like, God, if this is what having a baby is, I will be the queen of having babies because look at my body, it's great, and I have a baby. Yeah, well, there's other things. So I didn't really struggle with my weight then. I didn't really care. I had a husband, kids. I really didn't care what my body looked like then. But I was one of the few and the lucky ones that didn't get like a ton of stretch marks or anything like that. So now, when I had my girls, which came in like another year and a half later, that was a different story. And I still didn't even get any stretch marks, but I look at pictures of me when I was pregnant with my youngest daughter, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm big as a house, holy cow. But I am very clearly one of those people that can separate. I was pregnant then, and I had a reason to have all that weight on me versus, oh my God, I don't care. I still look fat. You know, I can separate myself from that. What I'm having a hard time separating myself from is, you know, my youngest daughter has cerebral palsy, and during those first few years of her life, we were constantly in and out of the hospital and on the run with her to therapy appointments and this, that, and the other. So I didn't keep the weight on. I lost it pretty quickly because I'm going to be honest, I didn't eat right. I fed the kids and it was like hamburger Happy Meal, but I had toddlers. I had a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old and a 1.5-year-old that I'm running, like constantly running and doing this, that, and the other. So I didn't have a chance to have the weight stay on. I was in my 30s when the weight really started coming on and I really started to see it. And what I realized was I was unhappy with some of the life choices that I had made. And I really just, it's very clear to me how your emotions and struggles that you have going on in your life will affect your weight. It is very apparent to me that those two are hand in hand. You can very rarely have one without the other. You'll either have weight gain or weight loss, depending. And a lot of it is on, your metabolism. So I ended up getting a divorce, and through the whole process of that, lost all that weight. So it wasn't really on my mind. Lost a lot of weight, yay! However, I got into another long relationship. It was about 4 years altogether. And the last 2 years, we were pretty solid in our relationship, meaning we weren't on and off again. We were together. And I noticed that the fat started coming back on. And it wasn't because I was with somebody. It was because there were problems in our relationship, and the things that brought joy to that relationship weren't bringing joy to that relationship anymore because we were together and we weren't doing those things. We weren't traveling. We weren't going places. We weren't caring for one another in the same manner. And I also noticed that my health started to wane a little bit. I started having more trouble with my asthma, and I was really struggling with a couple of other things that I wasn't quite sure what they were, but they revealed themselves to me later. So I packed on the weight again. Well, one reason or another, we broke up. I lost all that weight again. And when I say I lost all that weight, I lost all the weight. Like, I had a Barbie figure. The big boobs, the tiny waist, the nice hips. I looked like a Barbie. I was really okay with that. And I was fine. However, my weight was okay, but my inside wasn't okay. I was struggling inside with who I was. What's wrong with me that I can't be in a relationship and maintain a relationship and be happy in a relationship. I was struggling with finding my worth and my beauty, and one of the ways that I combated that was going out and drinking a lot with friends and doing karaoke and those kinds of things. And while I have their place, and while I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, I'm saying that for me, that was something that I noticed as a pattern that was developing. But during that time, I did meet my current now husband, and we got together and ended up getting married. And within a few months of getting married, I not only was I now unemployed because I had lost my job during the process of all of that, I had something happen that that little problem that I talked about earlier finally broke through. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia lupus. And I just remember there was like a week that I slept and I slept for days on end without waking up. And that was really hard on my body. And all of a sudden, I ballooned up. I looked like a Thanksgiving parade day float. And I wasn't happy with myself. And I just remember sitting down and talking to my husband and saying, something has to change. It's not you and I. It's the life that we're living. We need to make a drastic change. And both being unemployed, we decided to move to Arizona. And that helped a lot. I lost a little bit of weight. I was working at a bakery and enjoying what I was doing and learning a lot. However, I still, excuse me, I still weighed more than I was comfortable with weighing. And it wasn't until we started our own business and I got connected with a pageant circuit that I realized truly that, this was going to take a lot of work. So I decided to compete for the Mrs. United States pageant. And with the help of a television show, Healthy You, in 6 weeks' time, I went from 180 to 145 pounds. That's a lot of weight to lose. That's a lot of weight to lose in a very short amount of time, and I don't recommend that for anybody because what I went through to lose all that weight, it came back, and it came back with a vengeance. Because, remember I said when I started the pageant, I was 180. Today, on my scale, I weigh 220. I am struggling with my lupus. I am struggling with my asthma, and I am struggling with my self-image. There are things that I have changed about myself in the last month and a half to 2 months. My hair color, my hair, I've got it all chopped off. I've gone from super blonde to dark brown and back, trying to go back to blonde. And while it makes me happy for a day, I'm not happy. Why am I not happy? I'm not happy because I'm not happy. In here, I'm missing the person that is wrapped up in bubble wrap and tucked away in a deep dark corner in my heart, and occasionally we'll see glimpses of her in my generosity, in my overwillingness to volunteer for things. But in all honesty, I struggle every day when I get up and I look in the mirror and my hair's like this because I slept on it, and there's no makeup on, and there's no pretty clothes because right now there's very little in my closet that fits me. All I have is the garb from the SEA, which is a reenactment thing. I can give you a link. And t-shirts and jeans, that's it. The job that I do doesn't require me to wear dress-up clothes. And I used to have a closet full of dress-up clothes. And I could pick something out and put it on and feel pretty. And yes, while that's fleeting, you would be very surprised how much that means to somebody inside. And so this is not only a journey for everybody else, an encouragement for everybody else. This is a journey for me as well, to find that person that's in there. I know that person's in there. I've seen her, and I've seen pictures of her. I just have to find her again. And I have to find her worth. Because more than anything else, the beauty, the kindness, the generosity, that's there. And I have days where I wake up and I'm like, oh, I look cute today. Look at my hair. I have days where I have that. But I very, very rarely have a day where I wake up and say, I'm worth something. You can't buy this on the streets. You have to come to me to get these custom headdresses, and you have to come to me to make your garb, and you have to come to me to make your cake. Very, very rarely do I wake up and find those days where I'm saying that. And so that's my struggle, finding my worth. And I know that it's not necessarily anything that anybody can say or do for me. It's something that I have to find. I don't want to say on my own, but I have to wake up one day and say, you know what? I'm worth it. So if you're out there and you are struggling with finding your worth, finding your inner beauty, and figuring out who you are and what you are meant to be to somebody, please, 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 don't give up. Because I can tell you, there have been so many times that I have just wanted to give up. I just wanted to quit and say, I'm done. I'm no good to anybody. I only cause problems. I'm done. But I have made a pact with myself that I am going to figure it out. No matter how many sucky days I have, no matter how much weight I gain or how much weight I lose, above all of that, I'm going to find the beauty within myself, and I'm going to find my worth. And I'm going to live a life that I am proud of. And that my kids can look at me and say, that's my mom. And I'm proud of her. And my husband can say, that's my wife. And I'm proud of her. But more than anything, I can look at something I've done and say, that's my work. And I'm proud of that. And this is who I am, and I am proud of that. Don't give up. Don't give up.